Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love any makeup, especially shiny, shifty, sparkly eyeshadows. And I'm about to show you some of the most shiny and sparkly eyeshadows. And those are of course from Devinah Cosmetics. And I absolutely love Devinah. I've been buying from Devinah for such a long time. So in today's video, I'm going to be swatching all their multi-chromes. I'm going to be doing it by collection. And the only reason I'm posting Devinah today instead of a multi-chrome Monday is because Black Friday is approaching quick and their sale starts a day after Terra. So I thought I would get Terra Moons out first. So there's no specific order, but they will be doing a huge sale as well as launching some new beautiful shades, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get them. So definitely make sure you make an account and you put everything on your wish list so it's really nice and easy to just add it to your cart and be able to check out, because Devinah does sell out super quick for two reasons. One, super beautiful eyeshadows, and two, affordability. Devinah, by far, out of all the indie brands, is so affordable for what they have to offer. They have really just such a nice variety. They have regular metallics with no shifts. Then they have these super special sparkly shades. Some very smooth and metallic multi-chromes. They have matte eyeshadows. They have highlighters. I mean, you name it. So I think I've been holding this palette up enough. Let's get straight into the swatches. There's going to be a couple of comparisons, just a little bit. So let's get right into the swatches. And at the end of the video, I'll give you some of my recommendations. First up, we have the Candy Cakes collection. And these are described as a new cross-blend formula, which has a few sheer bursting shifty sparklies throughout its solid shimmer base. So these are not necessarily fully multi-chromes. I would say these are more like duochromes. Super stunning, but you can tell that the shift is harder to capture. So shiny, so sparkly. These are a bit on the textured side. However, it's like a very fine texture. It's not like a chunky texture, and this shade also does stain a little bit. Every time I swatch it, I end up with a blue finger. So that is something to note if that's something you are not a huge fan of. Next up are these Star Chasers, and these are so stunning. I mean, look at how sparkly these are. Again, just a sparklier formula. So these are just a little bit, you can just kind of tell there's just a bit of like a flex sparkle effect to it versus like a smooth metallic, but they're so shiny. And some of these are quite shifty. Not all of them are like the same equal shiftiness, but definitely this shade right here as well as this shade. I mean, the shade is just such a beautiful yellow to pink. There's like a green in there as well, and the orange also just such a stunning shade. This is probably one of my most favorite collections from Devinah. So next up are the Exploders, and I'm separating these into two sets. So first we've got the pinks and the purples. And so Pixie Sticks looks so much more gold once it's actually swatched. Like, it looks really pink in the pan. And you can definitely still see the pinkiness, but the gold really takes over. And then we've got these beautiful two different tones of purples with a different shift. And then love this one as well. And these, again, like, they kind of move around in the pan a little bit, so I don't know if this will translate, but I don't know if you can see kind of in this pan, besides it being so shiny and beautiful, it just does pick up, you can see, just like a little bit looser. So here's a second set from the Exploders. We've got the blues, and this shade in particular, just really gold once you swatch it, kind of similar to the other shade, the pink in the other set. But these are so beautiful, so shifty. These were such a hit when they came out, and they still are. Next up, we have these just three outlying shades that don't necessarily belong to a collection, and these are just so sparkly. I feel like the camera is just like, what is happening? Moonlit, I mean, just a legend. Really, just nothing compares. It does feel just a tiny bit gritty maybe, but really like a smooth gritty. It's really just, I don't even know what to compare it to, and I know they're coming out with more shades like this, and I'm so excited. And then Tucana, again, another legendary shade. This is just such a shifty, stunning shade. And then Centaurus, also just like a gorgeous bronze. I feel like it's looking a little bit red in the viewfinder for me, but it's much more like an orange, like kind of bronze shade. But oh my goodness, I could stare at this all day. Onto the Galaxy Dust Shifters. I think these were some of the first multi-chromes that I tried that were not like a black base. They were more of a brownish base. I would compare these more similarly probably to the hybrid multi-chromes from Clionadh, where they have just a little bit of a base without too much, and some of the glitter multi-chromes as well. And these are just so stunning. So I wanted to group these four together. I feel like these look kind of the most similar, but obviously you can see the shifts are pretty different. So these are so beautiful. Do I feel like you need all of these? I would say probably just pick a couple of them, but the whole bundle is so affordable anyway. Devinah in general is very affordable. So this is the second set of the Galaxy Dust Shifters. And again, you can see the brownish reddish base to these. So beautiful and shifty. Messier is one of my absolute favorite multi-chromes. It's just so shiny, so magical. And I do want to mention that the Galaxy Dust Shifters are probably like the smoothest formula. So they are a little bit, just tiny bit looser in the pan when you're kind of swirling in there. But compared to some of these other shades I've swatched so far, these are by far the smoothest. And oh my goodness, the shine. Next up is the first set of Aurorae Flares. Here's the first three. I'm going to be grouping these by color again. Oh, these are just smooth like silk, so shifty, so beautiful, and even better yet, so affordable. Are these three the most unique black-based multichromes you've ever seen? No, I can dupe out all these shades, but price-wise, you really can't compare. Here are some of the other Aurorae shades. These are so beautiful, and I do already have swatch comparisons with these to other multichromes. And I believe Chromosphere is one of the more unique multichromes from all these Aurorae Flares for sure, as well as Hemisphere, though I think it is pretty similar to Gargoyle from Devinah Cosmetics. But these are just, again, so silky smooth, so shiny, very reflective. And I think one of these shades is no longer available, so I'll put it up on the screen because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I do believe that the pigment can no longer be sourced, so they don't have it anymore. Last up for the Aurorae Flares, we've got the greens. And again, these are so shiny, so metallic, beautiful shades, especially if you love greens. And I love how different the shift is between all of these and just the tone. You really got to pay attention to the tones and which kind of tone of green would be one that you would really like to wear. And also if you love green and purple, then definitely go for this one. If you like green and blue, go for this one, you know, etc., etc. Next up is the Halo Moon collection. And these are just stunning iridescent multichromes. And you can kind of even tell from these swatches which ones are a little bit on the chunky side and which one are a little bit smoother. So I would say out of all of these three swatch kind of the smoothest. And then these three over here are really, really loose in the pan. You have to be very careful picking them up. And I think you'll be able to see it in the pan. Do you see how it's kind of, you know, a disturbed pan versus this looks just so much smoother. But these are so, so shiny and beautiful. And even better over a black base. And last up are the Sugar Drops. There's lots of shadows in this collection, some of which are a little bit similar, so especially these two down here. Probably don't need both of them. These are not as chunky as the Halo Moons, but they're still just a little bit on the chunky side. I think you can kind of tell, for example, there's a little bit of just chunkiness here if you look at it, but they really smooth out and just give you this beautiful iridescent sheen. I do feel like the Halo Moons are just a bit more shifty in a sense. Here's a comparison between some of the shades across the different collections. Centaurus is definitely the least sheer, the most pigmented, and I feel like the shift in it because of that is just very, very obvious. And Lynx is much lighter than Sweet Sunbeam. Confetti Kisses and Altair look very, very similar. Altair is lighter though. Confetti Kisses has just much more of like a teal blue base. And Swatch obviously very, very light and also shifts to a pretty vivid purple. It's really hard to make recommendations, especially when it comes to multichrome eyeshadow. And I touched on this on a previous Multichrome Monday where I swatched all the stained glass collection from Devinah Cosmetics. And I said my recommendations would really depend on your preference. So what kind of colors do you like to wear on yourself? What kind of textures do you like to wear? Do you want something so shiny and sparkly, or do you want something very smooth? I would say overall with Devinah, while these shadows are very sparkly, they're not per se like chunky, except for the Halo Moons. Some of those are a little bit on the flakier side, but the rest of these, they just really are like a league on their own. They're just like a very different kind of texture. I feel like the texture of some of these Star Chasers, for example, and Tucana and Moonlit, is not really comparable to anything from Terra Moons or even Clionadh. Like, they're just so sparkly and so beautiful, and they don't accentuate skin texture except for the little flakier formula in some of the Halo Moons, as I mentioned. But overall, like, these are just so beautiful. And then of course the Aurorae Flares, which are the black based multichromes, are so smooth and metallic. And I also really love the Galaxy Dust Shifters. I remember this was like one of my first kind of experience, well, not like one of my first, but it was definitely a standout collection at the time that I bought them from Devinah when they first came out. They're so beautiful, and they really just make you question like mainstream brands, because it's just, if these shadows can be this stunning at this price, then it's just like, what are all these other brands doing? So let's get into my recommendations. There's honestly not really anything I wouldn't recommend. I really, again, feel like it depends on what you're looking for. And overall, like, sparkliest, probably the Star Chasers, the Candy Cakes, and the Exploders. Some of my favorite shades that stand out to me, for sure Moonlit, which they're launching some new shades, which I can't wait. Tucana, I mean, legendary. From the Star Chasers, I feel like this shade, I don't remember, what is it, Altair. I feel like that one is a little bit too similar to this other shade from this other collection, Confetti Kisses, so I don't feel like you need both of those. And I think I might have mentioned that in these swatches. But really, you can't go wrong with any of these. The orange shade over here, Lynx, is just so stunning. I do love Akia as well. And then really with the Galaxy Dust Shifters, Messier is just a standout in my eyes. Cygnus is also a beauty. That one is really nice for if you don't want something just like way too shifty. Like one of the Aurorae Flares, for example, and you just want to throw like a nice, you know, neutral shade in the crease and put Cygnus on the lid, and you will just have the most stunning dimensional look ever. And then I also really love a Mystic Moon Pie. Like, it's just, there's just so much happening in it. It's a stunning shade, but like, again, like, just because I'm not mentioning any of these other shades doesn't mean I don't recommend them. I really feel like those are just kind of like the ones that like stand out to me, especially among all of these. And then of course the Aurorae Flares are an amazing option because they're so affordable for black based multichromes. Highly recommend getting a couple of shades, especially if you're looking to dip your toes in some black based multichromes. You're not really sure yet how you're going to like them and like using them and like the look of them. So definitely recommend any of those from Devinah. Again, choose based on the color that attracts you the most, that you see yourself wearing the most. And so that's everything for this video. I really hope that you found it helpful, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup content, lots of shiny, sparkly, shifty eyeshadow content up over in my channel, and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.